Hi guys, in Creo parametric we have a very powerful feature that is called the Toroidal bed. Using the Toroidal bed, you can make several profiles similar to this. You can see this part. We're going to focus on Toroidal bed in this tutorial. Therefore, I'm going to roll back here to a sketch. Let me go normal view. A sketch of 1000 by 300. Let me go to this orientation. Yeah, you can see you can make a simple sketch here of 1000 by 300 using a center rectangle. Then let me just show it. Then from there I just made a small extrude. Let's see, I have extruded by 20. You can use any value there by 20. Then I made another sketch. Let's see. This one is you see, for example, the tire has some this type of features here. If you let me try to see how the sketch looks like, a simple sketch. Let me define it for 20 by 80, yeah, by 35. Okay, it's a simple sketch there, like that. You can extrude it. Let me increase the another sketch. I have done extrusion of that profile here. Let me see the extrusion here. Just extrude by about 4 or 5. Then after that, what I did is I've patterned this extrude onto this face. Therefore, I used what we call fill pattern. For the fill pattern, let me just go to top. For the fill pattern, you have to define a sketch here. If you go to the reference here, edit, you usually define the sketch around where you want to have the fill pattern. You can see, made a rectangle here, used fill pattern to fill everything here on this surface. Use spacing on 40. I can make it 50 if I want to reduce these ones. Let's say okay. You can see what I have. This is the shape I have now with these small extrusions. Next, now I want to have various shape. I want to make this one as to become circular, like a tire. If you go to the Toroidal bend, we have three options. First, you have to define the profile section here. You have to select here. You have to select references for you to define this profile section and the references. You can see it is highlighted on the red here. The body, you can have several bodies. Therefore, this is my main body. You select the body that you want to form a bend. Then on the profile section here, you define. For the definition, I want my bed to happen on this face here. You see this, I'm defining the bottom face to control the bed. It has to select, you have to select bottom or top. If you select the bottom one here, then you sketch. Sketching now is where you define the profile. Maybe I can start with a simple profile whereby, let me take a coordinate system, put it there at the center. Then we start with a simple one, a line like that. Say okay. Once I select okay, if I go right view, you can see now the part starts to bed, to form a toroidal bed. And you can see the default bed radius is this value. Okay, since I know my length is, let me first say, okay, let me go back to sketch here. Let me see the sketch. Let me see. Let me edit the sketch. My length is 1000. I know the sketch, the part body has a length of 1000. Therefore, if I go back to the bend, oops, to my bed here, if I select the 1000 here, let's see what happens. If I go back to the right view, this means this bed is exactly 1000 here. Therefore, I know the length is 1000. That is the circumference of this part. Therefore, if I divide it by the formula of the circumference, if I divide by pi, let's say, no, it forms a semicircle if I divide it by pi. Because the formula is 2 pi d, if you divide it by 2, like that, it forms a complete circular. You can see, becomes a circle because I'm dividing the 1000, this value on the sketch, by 2 pi, to get this profile. But you see now, because of the pi approximation, if I zoom here, we have a small joint. You can see we have a small joint. Therefore, if you want to avoid this from happening, instead of, because now having a joint, it means this one is not a perfect circle. If you go back to the toroidal bed, instead of using now the bed radius, you can see we have a bed radius option, and I'm defining the bed radius of 159.16. This is 159. If you say 150, you can see what happens. Instead of defining this bed radius, you can use option number 3. You can see here you have option number 3, that is called 360 bend. Therefore, if you select 360 bend, now you have to define two planes. These are the planes that are going to touch each other when we form a complete circle. The first plane I'm going to define is this side. Select one here, this plane. Second plane, I have to define this one here. You can see now it forms a complete continuous path circle. You can see we don't have any joint. Therefore, if you want to design a tire, that's the approach you can make. First create a flat pattern, then bend it to form a circular part. Then going back here, lastly, before I go to the other options, instead of defining the bed radius of the bed 360 bend, you can have an existing bed axis here, whereby you want your part to bend, to use a certain axis and bed. Since I don't have an axis, you can create your own axis. You can create your own axis here. Just go to the top right corner here. You'll see an axis there. Let me activate my plane. I want to put an axis along this face here. Therefore, this will be my reference, and I want to use this face and this face, top face, to define my axis. And I want to have 0 here, and I want to have something like 500, just to define the axis. You can see now this is the axis. Therefore, this part is going to bend using this axis. You say okay, and activate this one here. You can see it is bending using this axis. This axis becomes the center. It is at the center of the part. Let me see. Let me activate axis. Yeah, it is part of it. Is consumed here. You can see the axis here. can show it if you want to show. Yeah, this is the axis. You can see the axis here that being used to bed this part. Let me go back to my bed 360. Let me just go to the bed radius and use 1000 divided by pi. No, let me create this a semicircle like that, and I want now to change this profile. Instead of having a straight profile, you can have a circular profile. If I go here, if you go to the profile section under the references here, edit, let me go normal to me. I want to delete this, delete everything here. Also delete this coordinate. Let's put coordinate here, this corner, and put another line from this point to this point, an arc from this point to this point. I want this arc to be 250. Let me first forgive this line here, 100. Let's see, from this point to this point is 200. Yeah, fine. Let me give the arc same length of 200. Therefore, dimension this from this point to this point to be 200. If you say okay, you can see now the part is going to bed to take that profile, the one I have defined using the sketch. You can see. Therefore, let me make it complete 360. Yeah. First one is this one here. Second one is this one here. Okay. Let's use this option. You can see how it looks like because it has a straight line section. Let me go to the yeah. You can see it has a straight line section here. Then starts to bed depending on the profile we have defined. If you go back to the toroidal bed here, if you go to the references and this sketch, let me edit the sketch. You can make this sketch any type of sketch you want. This sketch controls the profile of the bed. Let me go back to the center. Let me now a simple line there, an arc, like that. I want to mirror basically another line. Let me use an arc like that. Therefore, this to be 50. Then this to be equal to this. Then this to be equal to this. Therefore, let me dimension from this point to this point and see how much we have. We have 100. Yeah. Therefore, if I dimension this from this point, pressing Ctrl to this point here, I can give it 100. Okay. And yeah, you can see. Let's see what happens when you say okay. Say okay. This because we have the sketch has to be the sketch you define has to be exact the same length as this profile here. Therefore, if you go back to the preferences here, let me go here. You see now this one is 110, this one is 100, this is 50, this is 50, this is not 100. It has to be 100 for this to work. The length of your sketch should be exactly the same length of this face. Therefore, I need to define something else here. Therefore, from this point to this point to this point to be 100 also. Yeah, for this to work. Feature, okay, cancel to return. Let me see what's happening. Differences, edit. Let's see whether this is 50. Yeah, that's 50. And you know, from this point to this point is 300. Let me see, why not, let me delete this line here. Let me create another one. But basically I can just mirror this onto this axis here. Therefore, if I go to the dimension from this point, control this one here, this point to be 100. Yeah, okay. What's not happening? Let me try another profile. Let me just go back here, edit. Let me first for try something else. Delete everything. Let me go back here to center like that. Then like that. Let me first for try to test this and see. Okay, and now let me dimension this from this point to this point to this point to be 150, because from this point to this point is 150. Let's see what happens with this. Yeah, it's functional, that is functional on one side. Let's now go back to the Toroidal bed. On that preferences, edit the sketch. Let's edit the sketch and remove this line here completely, and select this one here, this, and mirror it to this line here, also 150. Let's see. Yeah, it is functional. It is functional. Maybe something happened with our sketch. You can see. Yeah, we can be able to create this type of parts using a Toroidal bed. Just play around with the sketches here, the differences, the sketch, and see the types of the profiles you can make. Yeah, because I believe even basically you have to ensure that the total length, you can see now it's a 300 here. If you make this to 90, you have to be very careful. Yeah, basically it happens. I think for the curve that doesn't apply. Yeah, basically play those parts around and see what happens. Thank you.